Under a silence none would willingly break, history convulses through the continent-long scars of Zayth, a world whose soul is metal, whose heart beats with the thunder of engines, and whose memory has been erased by the grinding of treads. It began long ago, so far back that even the eldest among the clan priests speak only in myth. Zayth is a planet wrapped in a single massive landmass, a continent now reduced to grey dust and vitrified stone, across which crawl the last remnants of a once planetary civilization. Titanic mobile hive cities, each the size of a mountain range, bound to no anchor but war. These are not cities in the sense of habitation. They are weapons, sanctified engines of ancient violence, constructed in an era before the Imperium, before even old Earth's cries reached the stars. Their true origins lie buried in the dark age of technology, when men built gods of steel and trusted them to endure eternity. And endure they did. These crawling Leviathans are fully autonomous hive fortresses, fitted with colossal macro cannons, seismic warheads, self-replicating manufactorums, plasma incinerators, and defensive void hulls capable of shrugging off orbital bombardment. They are each a self-contained ecosystem of war, feeding, arming, educating, healing, and burying generations within armoured bellies, reinforced by 10,000 years of ritual engineering. Each has fought and survived dozens, perhaps hundreds, of siege wars, often with one another. Their war has no declared beginning. It is simply the state of the world. They clash because they are made to, because they can, and because they remember that their enemies lie always just beyond the horizon. The conflict is now embedded into every cultural layer. Conflict is education. Conflict is inheritance. Conflict is the god rhythm that keeps the engine clans awake and afraid. Some still whisper that the wars began over territorial boundaries or ancient power sources. Others claim a schism erupted between command AIs long extinct, and their last protocols have never ceased executing. No theory satisfies. All that remains is the unending march of metal titans. Each city fortress houses a complex social structure resembling techno-feudalism. At the apex are the elder tacticians, noble commanders bound by bloodline to the original builders, their authority passed through sacred circuitry and ritual firmware. Beneath them stretch thousands of castes, forge priests, atmosphere servitors, tread engineers, bombard adepts, reactor scribes, reclaimant butchers, and, at the lowest tier, the dustborn, those who emerge from the lower decks never knowing light but by the colour of fire through vents. Hierarchy is rigid, inherited, and functionally divine. Their governance is carried out by the engine orders, lineage-bound councils of high technoloords who maintain ancient systems by rote memory and inherited command phrases. None build anew. Innovation is heresy. Maintenance is worship. Entire rituals are devoted to coaxing a plasma reactor back into stability or interpreting the sacred fault codes of a macro drive. Machine spirits are not only revered, they are feared, supplicated, and punished. Every act of repair is a rite. Every act of sabotage, sacrilege. None remember the first enemy. None remember the first war. Yet every clan knows it must keep its guns primed, its treads oiled, its siege glaives sharpened, because the city that stumbles will be devoured. There is no peace, no surrender, no higher calling. Only the ongoing ritual of combustion and clash. And so the cities churn on, leaving trenches behind them as wide as rivers, poisoned wastelands where nothing but ash-veined fungi grow in their wake. Zayth is not a world at war. Zayth is war made planetary. The treads never stop. No blueprint survives. No architect remains. And yet the city machines of Zayth endure, monuments not to civilization, but to momentum itself. Each of these crawling citadels spans tens of kilometers in length, their hulls sheathed in plates of gunmetal older than the Imperium. Beneath their ribbed carapaces lie layer upon layer of internal biome, compartmentalized in vast concentric structures. Entire microclimates exist within their cores. From the central command vault, known in most cities as the Throne Matrix, orders are disseminated via pressure tube, pulse rune, or sacred vox chant to the dozens of subsystems that maintain locomotion, firepower, and life. The cities are not simply war machines. They are fully enclosed ecologies, equal parts cathedral, forge world, and beast. The uppermost decks hold the domed chapel arsenals, where relics of battle are kept and chanted over. In the middle layers, manufactorums churn eternally, spitting out munitions and chemical sustenance in equal measure. And in the depths, where the reactor smoke never clears and the walls sweat rust, live the lowest castes, reclaimants, soot-fed artisans, the engine crippled. Treads the size of hab blocks grind endlessly over ZAYTH'S blackened crust. Suspensor fields crackle at the city's edges, less to float their weight than to shear and vaporize any obstacle they encounter. Their primary engines are fusion torque cyclers, fueled by semi-solid reactor sludge harvested from their own waste. Backup motive cores, many assumed to be defunct, remain in a state of deep dormancy, only rousing in the event of mechanical failure or full war surge activation. Weaponry is varied across cities, shaped by ancient doctrinal templates and the ingenuity of internal forge cults. Some bear plasma throwers with vent arrays designed to ignite the very atmosphere. Others deploy gravitic hammers capable of collapsing enemy treadworks. There are legends of one city, now lost beneath the red wastes, whose prow mounted a radiation harvester known as the Sun Tongue, which drew power directly from the upper atmosphere and could incinerate targets from orbit's edge. These tales may be exaggeration, but on ZAYTH, no tale lacks blood to prove it was believed. The motion of the city is not unthinking. Battle doctrines and route algorithms, recorded in machine cant from ages long before, dictate every acceleration, every halt, every tactical maneuver. There are hierophants whose sole purpose is to divine these patterns through meditations on diagnostic scrolls and engine logs centuries old. Navigation is not choice, it is scripture. Combat is not contingency, it is mass. Internally, every function is sanctified. Birth is recorded by pressure seal. Death is honored in the forge, where bones are sometimes alloyed into circuitry, especially among the ascendant castes, whose members view their skeletal remains as ideal capacitors for sacred systems. Even access to a chamber may require the recitation of ancestral passphrases, or a drop of oil from a lineage-retained reliquary. Between cities, their very hulls bear ancient scars, docking scars from battles past, impact welds from ramming encounters that split the crust beneath them like parchment. Some cities carry on their hides the remains of others, dragged behind them in shame, scavenged piece by piece. A handful even display captured banners, hulking totems lashed to observation towers, each representing a city they have vanquished and consumed. These cities are living reliquaries, yes, but they are also prisons. The people within rarely leave. The surface of ZAYTH is death, irradiated, hostile, seeded with mines from wars centuries past. The great crawling titans are all that remain. Their enclosed world is the only world. Those who climb the observation towers say you can see others in the distance, silhouettes on the far horizon, churning up clouds of ash as they advance or retreat, or simply maneuver in endless arcs of aggression. They are never still. Their presence is like an itch on the senses. And always, there is the dread certainty that one will crest the horizon soon. That another city comes. The steel horizon is never empty for long. Within each rolling city, the rites of maintenance and the rituals of war bleed seamlessly into theology. There is no division between sacred and functional. A power coupling is not simply a device, it is a sigil of continuity. A reactor ignition is a sermon. On ZAYTH, faith is not separate from machinery, it is the machinery. Every city venerates its machine spirit, not as a mere concept, but as a sovereign entity, immense and temperamental. Some are believed to have moods, requiring appeasement. Others demand sacrifice. Certain cities perform weekly oath purges, in which entire deck sections are exposed to vacuum to placate the god mind slumbering in the core processors. In one city, the Wrath of Vernac, Whole families are bred for the role of vent singers. They're tasked to harmonize with the engine vibrations and sing through soot-choked chambers, lest the reactor dream of entropy. The fusion of doctrine and survival has bred not just devotion, but dogma. Heresy on Zayth is rarely spiritual in the traditional sense. It is procedural. An unauthorized bypass of a coolant valve can be grounds for execution. A non-sanctioned rerouting of pressure conduits might see an entire family line rendered nullborn, stripped of name and station. The tech adepts and Castellan seers who oversee these judgments do so not out of cruelty, but out of awe. Every act upon the city's body is a rite. Every circuit touched without sanction is a form of blasphemy. But faith is not the only current that flows between cities. Though most encounters end in blood, there are recorded truces, short-lived, brittle, and always steeped in manipulation. These are times of exchange when cities will dock against one another using vast magnetized clamps, forming temporary trade bridges suspended over the charred wasteland. Through these narrow corridors pass goods, weapons, data looms, sacred oils, and most prized of all, genistock. For while the cities are self-contained, their gene pools are not infinite. Breeding licenses are tightly regulated, and rogue unions, even across enemy cities, have occurred in whispered secrecy. Currency varies. In some cities, hardened metal slugs stamped with forge marks are used. In others, sacred lubricant vials serve as coin. Ammunition is common exchange, though it must be ritually neutralized before barter, lest it carry a combat oath or kill curse. There is also the enigmatic use of tread scrolls, coded fragments of past navigational data, considered sacred by some, purely tactical by others. Rogue traders have attempted contact, drawn by tales of STC remnants or unique plasma arrays. Few survive the attempt. Zayth is inward-looking, paranoid, and hostile. The rare envoys permitted aboard are usually kept on the outer decks, under constant watch, and even then only if bearing technologies of comparable rarity. One trader brought with him a recovered void lance from a long-dead forge world. He departed weeks later, missing his tongue, with a chest of enriched isotopes and the most ornate last-lock pistol ever recorded in Segmentum Tempestus. The Adeptus Mechanicus holds a complex stance on Zayth. Officially, they declare the city machines sacred relics beyond replication. Unofficially, they yearn to dissect them, unscrew every bolt, peel back every hull-plated doctrine. Some claim covert Mechanicus infiltration has already occurred. There are persistent tales of red-robed cog chaplains appearing suddenly in cities long thought uncontacted, preaching a stricter gospel of Mars. These figures vanish just as quickly, often leaving behind a schism, a reactor fire, or a newly sanctified processor cluster, awakened from a 1,000-year slumber. And within the depths of some cities, even stranger factions stir. Heretics, warp cults, gene freaks bred from reactor ash and forbidden admixtures. In the lower decks, beneath the sanctum barriers, there are whispers of movement, cultic congregations that speak of the cities as living, not merely alive with spirit, but conscious. They believe the titans of Zayth remember, dream, and plan. That the Great War is not a random inheritance of ruin, but the will of something ancient and unrevealed. Trade, faith, and treachery intermingle beneath steel and sanctity. In the roaring echo chambers of these cities, where prayers are sung in binary and betrayals unfold by steamlight, no soul remains untouched by war's catechism. And still the cities crawl. There are cities that do not crawl. Across the broken plateaus of Zayth, among the shattered tectonics and dust-choked plains, lie the husks of the fallen. Dead hives, their treads stilled, their reactor cores frozen into radioactive tombs. No clan mourns them. No rite is spoken for the halted. These are the silent graves of war citadels, some toppled in battle, others driven into exhaustion, still more undone by rebellion within. They are called the broken choirs, the crippled hosts, the hollowed. From a distance they resemble mountains, their armoured forms half submerged beneath drifting dunes. Close up, their scale defies the senses. Craters mark the points where macro turrets exploded inward. Observation towers lean like broken fingers. Here, the only movement is the wind through hull-split corridors. Some whisper these places still echo with mechanical speech, muttering prayer phrases long after all life has gone. And yet, not all that has fallen is dead. Some of the wrecked cities are reclaimed, absorbed piecemeal by still-functioning titans. This scavenging is not a matter of salvage alone. It is cultural warfare. To strip a fallen city of its nameplates, its gene archives, its navigational cores, is to erase it from history and inherit its weight. Such acquisitions are celebrated with week-long rites, during which the children of the conqueror are marked with the glyphs of their slain foes. Others remain forbidden. There are stories of cities that did not merely fall, but changed. Cities whose machine spirits cracked, whose internal logic circuits began to loop, creating echoing feedbacks of war code and loyalty scrub routines. In time, they turned on their own. Some say they spoke in voices not their own, broadcasting languages never learned. One such legend names the city Gol Havan, said to have awoken during a planetary warp storm and begun consuming the crews within, digesting them in oil vats retooled from reclamation systems. By the time another city made contact, only a single crewman remained alive, and he was not speaking words any human could understand. These rogue cities, often marked with burn halos, their exteriors mutated by impossible stress fractures, are treated with fear and reverence. Some are left alone, designated as null marchers on route charts. Others are bombarded on sight, their ruins cratered anew to prevent awakening. Yet even among the functioning cities, the cracks deepen. Over centuries, systems degrade beyond repair. Ammunition dries up. Reactor cores flicker. Entire castes vanish when sustenance protocols fail. Internal civil wars break out. Deck wars fought over hydro reclaim rights or belief in contradictory maintenance scriptures. Some cities have split entirely, sawing themselves in half with their own internal lasers, one half crawling westward, the other into obscurity. Among the elder tacticians, a growing awareness now festers, one that no doctrine can silence. The cities are dying, not today, not tomorrow, but one by one they stall. One by one they disappear over the horizon and are never seen again. The fuel grows thinner, the rites less effective, the machine spirits more sullen, more silent. Some whisper of cities moving beneath the surface now, unseen. A different breed, perhaps new, perhaps very old, perhaps awakened. A few seers speak of unity, of a coming time when the clans will align and forge a single great procession, an endless war engine encircling the world. But such prophecies are drowned beneath artillery and tread howl. And in the skies above, augur signs flicker. Warp echoes bounce across ZAYTH'S stratosphere, distorted and looping. Something ancient listens. Something beneath the ash remembers. ZAYTH was never merely a world. It was a signal. And now the silence begins to break.